Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After what was a busy day yesterday with Arkham Horror 2nd Edition against Yogg-Sothoth for Christmas in Arkham, and then Game 6 of my 2017-18 Stanley Cup Finals replay, we're back into the world of Dungeons & Dragons again from Wizards of the Coast. This, of course, is the most popular tabletop RPG in the world, and we're picking up our story of Birel Amastasia, the High Elf Wizard, and Lindal Brushgather, the Halfling Ranger. When last we left these two, they had been ambushed in the forests of Teria by a scout after investigating a corrupted water source, but they were defeated in the forest. So that's where we pick up. That's where we'll pick up here. So we'll tell a little bit of story for that one. Birel finally came to very slowly. She was groggy, but she recognized where she was. When she looked around, she saw a sea of forest around her, and she was lying on a brush bed, almost not completely comfortable, but she had been too exhausted by everything to notice that. Her eyes, though, quickly fell on another brush bed, and the sight of her friend Lindal Brushgather, still unconscious. Birel looked around further, but she noticed something weird as she got up off the bed. She strolled over to a nearby lake and wondered where the wounds were, because she remembered that they'd been attacked. They'd been attacked not that long ago. But then she heard a voice behind her. Let's see, is there anything here describing that? No. So she heard a voice behind her, almost deep, very deep and almost a little bit wolfish, which seemed weird to her. "Ah, you're awake," the voice said behind Birel. I'm going to bring this camera up here just a bit. There we go. Birel turns around, looks behind her, turns around to look behind her, and notices a very towering figure with shimmery green skin. She sees long hair going down behind him, along with flowers and twigs in it. He's got these piercing blue eyes. Birel's like, "Who are you?" The wolfish figure looks at her and smiles slightly. "My name is Altandor Wingrove. You might not notice me, you might not know me, but be assured, I know both you and your Halfling Ranger friend." So actually we're going to still interact with this in a freeform scenario. I'm using the Solo Adventurers Toolkit. So the question is, this figure knows Birel. The question is, does Birel know this figure? We're going to call it a 50-50, so I'm not going to modify the roll for Birel. Birel will be doing everything with red dice. Lindal will be with our brown dice. That's a 13. Yes. So Birel obviously knows this figure. Okay. So Birel knows the figure. So Birel knows him. Is he a mentor of some kind? Let's put that to the Oracle again. That's a 17. Yes. Birel turns and smiles at the figure. "Altandor," Birel said, "what are you doing here?" Altandor Wingrove, the druid who is now speaking with her, smiled at Birel. You were attacked in your previous quest. You were looking into some water source. I didn't follow along directly, but I know from visions that I was getting what you and Lindal were up to. Birel remembered the quest and how that ended. The quest ended with Lindal and I getting ambushed by some scout, Birel remarked. Altandor nodded sadly at that. Yes, I'm aware of what happened there, Altandor remarked. I actually had to send my druids up to Teria to rescue you and Lindal, which is how you two ended up here. And just then another person walks into the shot. Oh, yes, I do kind of remember that. It took quite the blow to my head, though. A higher pitched voice remarked. Both Birel and Altandor turn, and standing behind them is Lindal Brushgather, the halfling ranger who was ambushed, or the halfling ranger that was with Birel. Altandor nodded. My druids and I had to get you out of there in a hurry, Altandor remarked. I can sense great power in you two, but you probably need a guiding hand to try to uncover that. So I'm wondering if you might be able to help me out with something here. I saw right before I sent my druids to find you, I received a very troubling vision that seems to be dealing with a blight of some kind. It's an ancient magic, but I think it's being corrupted by something, and I would like you two to go investigate. Would you be willing to take that on? Lindal and Birel, of course, both nod at that. And Altandor smiles in relief. Good. I'll be able to get you anything you need. But there's something you should know. I've also seen visions of an artifact in there linked to somebody leading to somebody who seems to be part of an ancient order of druids that we're sworn to try to guard against. So hopefully you guys will uncover some of that. So on that note, Lindal and Birel will head back into town. Let's get a settlement. Actually, there should be a table here for an urban generator. Actually, they'll step out into. They'll kind of gather their bearings. Let me make sure I've got them both at full HP. Yes, I do. We should probably work on finding them some easier enemies, though. So let's see if we can. So they'll start. So Birel and Lindal will try to ask some questions to maybe learn a little bit more about this artifact that they don't know about. But Altandor won't be able to offer them much information. They'll have to go after that themselves. So the two of them are going to. So the first thing they need to do is they actually need to find transportation of some kind. They don't. Well, do they even know where it is? Actually, that's a good question for the Oracle. Oracle, can Altandor give them any information? As much as I want to modify this to help them along, I don't really think I can, because the way these visions oftentimes work is the vision will show the receiver something, but it's not always going to be clear. So we're going to call this a straight 50-50 roll. That's a 17. Altandor knows it's deep in the forest, past the kingdom of Teria where they were. So they probably need to get further west. So they probably need to get, let's say, further east, I guess. They basically need to travel. So they're going to both set off. So he knows past Teria. So it's quite a long distance away. Can we get them? So yeah, we'll have to try to get them there. I think the first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to have them travel out. They're going to they're going to collect their wits, collect their belongings, and then set off. So they're going to be traveling. They'll come across let's step them into a regular wilderness space, into a regular wilderness, and we'll roll the 60-12 to see what we come up with. I'm just making notes off screen for that. Gold. Black and purple. Okay, my apologies for the delay. I was just working on writing up my notes here. So what I've got for that, we'll pull these out. We'll pull that D20 out. And I've got the 60-12s here. I've got notes on what's called the 60-12 method, where I'm going to roll these, and then based on the results, I'm going to flesh out the area that they're looking at. So we're looking at a standard wilderness as they're starting to make their way into a town. Let's see, 6 is no monster on red. Orange is an 8, which is no clues. Gold is an 11 for environment features, so we're going to have 2 features. Teal is an NPC, standard wilderness, so no NPC. Black is a 4, which is no treasure. Purple is a 12, which means random event. Actually, it was just a skill challenge. My guess is the features and the skill challenge are going to tie into each other. Let's see if I can find more information on that 60-12 method. Let's see, dungeon features. Looks like it's from the, okay, so we've got, right, we need 2 features. Wilderness features, okay. Okay, this will work. So we need D100 for 2 features on the map. So our first feature, that's a 5, which is a campsite. And a 57, unmarked settlement. So what can we do? So a campsite and an unmarked settlement. So maybe like a family going camping for the first time and not wanting to be far from a city or from a settlement of some kind. Let's see. So Oracle, let's ask, is either one of these related to our current quest? That's a 4, which on the, I'm going to be making some printouts once I know more of what I want. So no, these are not related. We still need to come up with a skill challenge of some kind. Maybe as we step into the campsite, we see that it's burning out of control. Maybe we see that there's a campfire or something burning out of control. So what kind of a skill check would that be? Would that be a... No, I don't necessarily like the idea of the campsite burning out of control. No, the campfire burning out of control. I didn't roll for a trap necessarily, but maybe there. Well, no, I think we do go with the campsite, or the campfire that's about to burn out of control. As we come into the campsite, and to try to put that out. Let's see. We're probably going to roll. What do I want to roll for that? I'm trying to think what would make sense if we're trying to put out a campfire that's burning out of control. That's probably like a dexterity, maybe like an acrobatics check. Actually, let's ask the oracle here, because that'll help me determine what I want to do. Is there a water source of some kind nearby? Let's see what we can find there. That's a 6. No, so there's not a water source nearby. So it's probably going to be acrobatics checks from both of them. I mean, even acrobatics isn't really completely what I want to roll on this. Actually, maybe a magical tone. So maybe it'll be acrobatics for Lindal. But I could justify. But I could maybe use Maybe I could use like an Arcana check for Lindal, or not for Lindal, for Birel, to see if she can maybe douse the fire magically. Actually, I think that might be a good question too for the Oracle before we do that. Is there a water source nearby? Can Lindal tell, or can either one of them tell anything about the fire? So let's roll a. Okay, so let's roll nature checks for both of them. They only get the +3 intelligence modifiers. So nature checks first, and we'll make this a. Actually, I think a better question rather than rolling for nature is let's ask Oracle, is this fire magical? Or is it just like an ordinary campfire that you'd see going with a family going camping? That's a 9. No, but. So the fire is not magical, which means it's probably a natural fire, more likely. So we know it's not it's a natural fire. Let's see if we can learn a little bit more about. Let's go to the keywords table and see if we can find out maybe why it's here. So we need a D8 and a D100 for that. And once again, I'm going to the keywords table and I'm taking the D8 -1. Let's see, that is a 19. History. We'll roll again. 15 is infectious. And 104, demon. So maybe a fire being burned in. So maybe a fire, maybe like a commemorative fire, almost like a funeral you might come across. Maybe it's Funeral or in memory of someone. How does infectious and demon fit into that, though? Maybe trying to ward off a demon? But as we're trying to figure it out, as we're trying to figure out what this fire's all about, does anybody come? Oracle, do we see anybody running up to it? Anyone coming out as we approach? Is probably how we do that. That's an 18. Yes, so we do see somebody coming out. Let's see who's coming out. So there should be an NPC generator in here. At least I thought there was. Maybe it's in the first part of the... Let's see if there's something in the table of contents that'll let me generate. Maybe part 1 is where I need to go for an NPC generator. Let's see if that gives me anything. NPC generator. I know I've got... Here we go. I know I had that tabbed. Okay. So now we see somebody coming out. Who's coming out? So first we need a race. That's a 98. 98's an other race. Uh-oh. Let's see who's coming out. Let's see what race they are. That's an 84. Oh, that's a D20 roll. Never mind. Hang on. That's a D20 roll. That's a 10. It's an orc. So I think the first question is going... Well, let's not worry about that. Let's worry about fleshing this character out. So now we've got an orc coming out. We'll roll for gender. 33, male. Alignment. '71. Neutral evil. See a profession. 99. An adventurer of some kind. Let's see, roll on class and level tables. So D12 and a D20. Let's see, 9 is a rogue. 13 is early levels. And then early tier level. 12 is going to be a level 3 rogue. Let's see, okay. Then we've got a disposition. That's a 3. Aloof or superior. Let's see which one's going to be easier to tell. And an economic status. A 98. Wow, royalty. All right, well, that's... Okay, that was unexpected. So, Birel and Lindal look at this orc, see an orc rogue coming out somehow. And they're wondering, and they can see it's weird because he looks like he's basically loaded for bear. He's got what obviously look like very nice looking daggers and other equipment that he would need for his adventuring. So they stop and say, "Hail, traveler." Actually, which one? We should probably figure out which one he is. If he's aloof or superior. Let's roll a d20 for that. 1 to 10, he's aloof. 11 to 20, he's going to act superior. That's a 3, so he's going to act aloof. He's just going to look at them. Let's see, we need a name. We'll probably need to build a rogue character. Well, actually, I don't know if we're going to need to or not. So I think the question I want to so an orc rogue who's going to act aloof and is loaded. So he's going to say, "Oh, I didn't expect anybody else to be here." Birel and Lindal Birel will say, "Oh, sorry, we were just passing through. We were just on our way. We're travelers. We're venturing. We're traveling. We're trying to find transport to a far off land." And the orc rogue, I'm trying to think where I want to go with this because I'm trying to come up with a total freeform story, and I'm realizing that I basically had my creativity surgically removed. So I'm trying to tap into something that I didn't think I ever needed again. Maybe I'll try. Well, I was gonna say maybe I'll try with maybe next time I put D&D on the channel, we'll do a pre-written adventure with Mythic. So I definitely don't want them to get into a fight because I think a fight is a pretty easy way to end this story. So the rogue traveler comes out, and he's just given that his demeanor isn't completely surprising to Birel or Lindal since they obviously picked up on hints of royalty from him. But I'm going to see if they can try to. So he doesn't really want to talk much about the fire that was going there. Actually, let's ask the question, Oracle, does this orc have anything to do with this fire? Have to do with campfire, which we thought was burning out of control, but obviously somebody was watching it. So does the orc have anything to do with the campfire? Does this rogue? That's a 2, which I believe is going to be a no and. So no and. So no and. What do I want to do with a no and response? So he has nothing to do with the fire. Does he know who does have any? Does he know who set? And I can't even write today. Does he know anything about the fire? So he probably didn't set it. Does he know anything about the fire? 7. No, he doesn't. He's looking at this fire wondering what in the world it is. So the next question we need to ask is, okay, so he didn't have anything to do with the campfire, and he doesn't know anything about it. So what brings him here? Let's go to the keyword table once I figure out how I can write English and see what he's doing here. And I need my D100. I was trying to find my D percentile dice in this chaos. Let's see, that's going to be a 792. 792 cell. 762 opening. Cell opening. Well, that's a 448. Cell opening diary. So the orc finally responds. As I was in my ventures, I found this diary that I've been trying to sell here. That I've been trying to sell somewhere, but I found this settlement. I seem to find a distant settlement on the map. I'm not sure if there's even anybody here. So actually, that might be another question for the Oracle. So we had an unmarked settlement on the map. Is this settlement abandoned? I'm going to modify it with an unlikely, because somebody obviously was around here because there was a campfire, which now seems to be burning dimly and almost out. That's an 18 minus 3 is a 15. So yes, the settlement is abandoned. So now our question turns to, so I guess the question is he, well, it seemed a little bit forward to ask to read this diary, but does the orc know anything about what's in the diary? So we know the settlement is not going to be any help because it's abandoned, which brings us back to the diary. So does the orc know anything about the diary? That's a 17. Yeah, so he knows something about the diary. Now can we persuade him to try to tell us anything about it? That should be probably something in Charisma land. Let's go for persuasion rolls from both Lindal and Birel. So persuasion rolls for Birel and Lindal to see if either one of them... is he going to want to talk about this diary? Because if he is... Actually, I don't even have stats ready for him, so I'm not going to worry about a contested roll. We'll set it at actually persuasion rolls. Before we ask that, let's ask if this rogue wants to talk about it. Because he's finding other people, so maybe he's curious about what we're doing here. So does the orc want to talk about it? That's a 7. No, he's not going to want to talk about it. So I'm going to set the DC for this check a little bit higher. Let's make this a moderate check. So we're going to do persuasion rolls. Lindal and Birel. Birel is a +1 on charisma. Lindal is +2. And he's not going to want to talk, and we're not going to be able to convince him to talk anything about actually, 11 plus 1 is 12, 4, yeah. We're not going to be able to convince him to tell us anything about that diary. So we aren't able to find out anything about the diary. So are we just going to end up parting ways here? Because I wonder if we could convince him maybe, well, not necessarily part ways yet. So the question I want to ask is that diary somehow related? So is that diary related? Which will be, well, yeah, we'll ask if the diary is related to our quest. That's a 16. Yes, it is related to our quest. So somehow we've gotten guidance, and we seem to realize that, okay, this diary is probably related. So we should probably find a way to get this rogue, so we should probably find a way to either get access to the diary or maybe get the rogue to join us. So let's make that a... So let's see if we can get him to join us. Actually, first question is, can we persuade him to give us the diary? Well, we already tried that, so maybe... So diary is related, which means we need to find a way to get our hands on that diary. Maybe we... Now I think we try to convince him to join us. So now we're going to do persuasion rolls as... So the diary is related, which means we need to get him either to join us or to give up the diary. So let's make persuasion rolls to see if we can convince him to join us. He's probably already suspicious of us, so we're going to make it another moderate check. So let's see if we can maybe convince him to join us, which might make this a short stream. Well, actually, I might need me to take a chat GPT break so I can see if I can build up an orc rogue. But let's see if we can find anything. Let's see if this persuasion roll goes anywhere. Let's see, that's a 17 from Lindal, plus 2 is 19. So Lindal, so this orc is taken in by Lindal's friendly nature. Senses that they might be going to the same place. So Lindal's got they've got a sense that they might be traveling to the same place. But they've got a sense that they're traveling to the same place, and Lindal manages to persuade this orc rogue of it, and he agrees to join us. So now, actually, I'm going to take a quick break because now I need to go ask ChatGPT to give me a hand and generate a rogue character. So bear with me for a couple minutes. I need to go out to my desktop so I can also make a print. So I will be right back for that. Sorry for the delay, folks. I did not expect to have to generate another character today. Fortunately, ChatGPT is wonderful for just such a purpose. Let me see what I've got here for an orc rogue that I could pull in. Do I not have an orc of any kind on here? I might not. This one will do. I'm more worried about getting the orc than the rogue. I'm putting another, having to get another standee out for this. Okay. And I can't get this to stand. I can't get this standee into the base, which is going to be kind of annoying. There we go. And now we need the purple dice out for our new half orc rogue. And now we've got purple dice. So now, as the group starts to travel together, the rogue introduces himself more fully, and he now identifies himself as Skorzak Bloodtusk, and he explains what looks to be royal traits is that he came from an orc king, but he never really felt like he fit in, as he never really fit in as with his half human blood. He never really felt like he fit in with the royal companions. So because of this, he basically learned to thrive through guile. So we're learning a lot more about Skorzak, as he volunteers that he was from royal blood, as they could obviously guess that, but what they don't know is that he didn't fit in with anybody there. He's since had to flee from the kingdom. He's had to flee from his kingdom, and now he's just basically just a world traveler at this point. So let's ask the Oracle if Skorzak has any connection to where we're going. Could his royal blood possibly help us here? So does Skorzak still have any connections with the royal court of his kingdom, or has he basically just had to flee for his life? That's a 4. No. So he's been completely outcast, which actually is not surprising here, but we'll come back to that. So there obviously are no connections. In the backstory, we know that, but Lindal and Birel don't yet. So the three of them are starting to travel together. If the campsite's, are they moving into a new site yet? Or is this could actually be a pretty good place, I think, because now I actually need to try to generate a full character sheet for Skorzak. So I think that's what we're going to do, is I'm going to actually have them bunk down after a long day of travel. So yeah, I think after a long day of travel, they get to a camp. They make camp after making good miles, and the three of them are just going to end up collapsing on the day in exhaustion after traveling a long way. As Altandor will visit Birel and Lindal in a vision once again, but everybody is just going to get some sleep, and that's where we're going to call it a short stream. So I kind of am starting to pick up a new story here, trying to flesh it out a little bit as well. But that will do it for this playthrough of Dungeons and Dragons. Of course, as this was the first stream of the day, we're not quite done yet because we still have to crack today's entry in the Advent calendar that we've been working on all month. All right, just working on getting everything put away here. Sometimes I'm going to have these short streams like this where it's more focused on the storytelling aspects and setting everything up than necessarily in the slinging swords and spells and daggers and poisons and all of that fun stuff. Because I know that's the more exciting stuff in D&D for most people, but for me it's kind of all about the narrative of the game. So we'll get all of these out of the way. Actually, we might be working on building up our party too. If we can get a fourth character somewhere in this, we might be able to send them into a pre-written adventure module and have some good results there. I'll work on putting them away later. Excuse me. But for now, we have today's Advent calendar entry. Of course, today is the 9th of the month, so we need this entry right down here. Let's crack this open in the Advent calendar and see what we've got. And in here, from the gray and white set, we've got the D20. So we can fold that through. We'll bring the tower in for a second. And it will fit through it'll fit through just fine. So I can throw that in with the other dice I've cracked. So it looks like I've found the 3 sets that we're going to have in here. I'll close that up. And then that will do it for this stream of Dungeons and Dragons. We'll definitely be continuing with Lindal, Birel, and now Skorzak's their story in this adventure. As for what's coming up on the channel, though, later this afternoon, we're going to have another session in our America Bomber as we play America Bomber, Evil Queen of the Skies by Compass Games. Later tonight, we're going to have Game 7 of my 2017-18 Stanley Cup Final Series replay, as the Vegas Golden Knights will be hosting the Washington Capitals. The Cup is going to be skated tonight. The only question is, which team is going to win it? You'll have to come by to find that out. Tomorrow tomorrow morning, we're going back to the sports world once again, this time to debut a new golf game on the channel as we play Inside the Cup Golf by Inside Sports Games. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care.